Hi, everybody. Welcome to the very first edition of the Goldilocks and the Three Cares podcast. My name's Andrew.
And I'm Crystal.
And what we'd like to do today is to tell you a little bit about what we're trying to accomplish, the format, and to give you a little bit of an idea as to the personalities and the angles that we're going to take a look at the different self-published works. Crystal, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a writer. I have been writing ever since I was a very young girl, just short stories mainly. My first novel was a complete and total copy of the Chronicles of Narnia.
As they tend to
be. And more recently, I've actually self-published a novel. So my debut novel, Eve's Return, is now available on Amazon. And selfish plug.
Exactly. And I'm not a writer. I'm in software. But I do like to read.
Nerd!
And nerd! I'm in sales, specifically. Geek. And what I like about books and about reading is seeing how, everyone combines it together and what the author was looking to accomplish. And in working with Crystal, I've really found a love for the creative side and the construction of it.
This is not the purpose of this podcast is not to be a review. What we're trying to do here is give you our opinions on what we've read, and you can take the information, make up your own mind. If something we said interests you, go ahead, buy that book. If not, then take a pass and perhaps pick up another one.
And specifically, we're looking at doing self-published authors, right?
Yes, that's correct. As I've discovered, being a recent self-published author myself, it is very difficult to get attention on my book. So
That it is.
Exactly. So the intent here is to sort of shine a light on self-published works and provide a voice and give an avenue for these types of books to shine.
Yeah, you were telling me a story about self-publishing is like getting into a canoe in the middle of a lake.
That's right. Yes, and that's pretty much how it feels, where you've just got your one single paddle and the current is super strong, and you've just got to paddle your way to shore.
And for those of you who are not Canadian, that was a very Canadian analogy. Let's tell a little bit about the format. So we decided to go with looking at a book from three different angles. And we said, each book, when we open it up, can have elements that are too hot, too cold, and just right. By too hot, we mean something that there was too much of, that really left us feeling like it overpowered the dish, if you will.
It could also rub us in the wrong way a little bit.
Yeah, it can. We use the term bump, so get familiar with that. It can bump you. What about too cold?
Too cold is when we didn't get enough of something, that we were looking for a little bit more. We're left feeling a little empty, perhaps. That would be too cold.
It could also be just a glaring omission, perhaps.
Right.
Yeah. And what about just right?
Just right would be something that we absolutely loved about the book. And we'll always finish with the just right because, again, we want to leave you with a good feeling, these self-published books.
Yeah, and as an author listening to this, we really want to tell you, if you hit the sweet spot, if you're looking at writing your own works, if you're looking to pick up the book, the sweet spot is what we feel will lead you to the next book in the series or the next book by that same author. So what we're going to do now is just to give you an example, we're going to pick a semi-famous work. Perhaps you've heard of it, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
This was a new one to me, Andrew.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
That poor author, I root for her and I hope she makes it.
She's just scraping by with that theme park she's building in her backyard. It's great.
So when we look at Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, what was too hot about that book?
For me, it was that we started off really with a child abuse situation. Poor little Harry is living underneath some stairs with spiders and in the dark, and it really isn't such a great situation.
No, it's not, and apparently the poor kid can't get a haircut for the life of him either.
He's the first Justin Bieber, really.
He's got Bieber bangs.
Yeah.
And then what was too cold about the book?
For me, it was in the ending. Harry Potter doesn't really save the day. His friends help him to get there, and then in the end, love saves him. And mind you, love is a perfectly reasonable thing. However, I would have liked to see Harry take a little more control over his destiny.
And interestingly enough, that kind of becomes a theme throughout the 7 books, that really it's like Hermione and some of the other characters, even some of the bad guys like Snape, are much more of the protagonist in terms of changing the outcome sometimes than Harry.
Right. I mean, I think bottom line, I would have liked to see him take more action himself rather than some circumstances helping him to make it to the finish line.
And we look at the book, what do we feel the author got just right?
I would have to say the world building. I mean, take a look at Halloween. How many kids do you see? Kids and adults.
Lego sets.
Exactly.
You know you've arrived when you've made a Lego set.
When you've made a Lego
That's life goal.
No, I mean, you bought the Harry Potter Lego set. Sorry, are we telling secrets?
Secrets and lies, audience.
Sorry.
Lies.
No, I mean, it's this beautiful world that she's created with, these different houses. And while there's relations to schools in England, I think, creating Quidditch, even outside the world, Ron Weasley's home, which happens in later books, but just this complete world that is really very engaging and entertaining.
And you know that she was successful because there have been so many other copycats out there who've world built within or did fan fiction of
Yes.
or borrowed that, and you're even seeing some of those now be major motion pictures. So that's the format, and our commitment to you is to be able to do 2 new podcasts every month. That means we need to read 2 books and dissect them with the too hot, too cold, and just right. We really want to keep them to about 10 minutes. Each podcast should be just long enough to listen to during your commute or perhaps if you're doing the dishes. One of the other things we want to include at the end of each and every single podcast is just a little audio Easter egg of something that was funny that came up during the podcast or perhaps something that didn't quite make the cut.
Please subscribe to us. We're on iTunes or available on RSS feeds. We also have a Facebook page. Actually, it's under me, Crystal Bork, so you can check us out on Facebook or on my website, www.everythingstemporary.com.
So thank you very much for listening to the first edition of the Goldilocks and the 3 Cares podcast.
Until next time, keep reading.
So let's just try talking now. Talk now, Crystal.
I would like to talk now because...
Talk in your normal voice.
Okay, sorry. I love you.